Now we all know the famous Daredevil and his iconic helmet with the horns on top. Now imagine, just like how Bullseye took his suit in the Netflix series, imagine if Agent Poindexter actually got his own iconic helmet and suit. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how I made this Bullseye cowl. That's a concept, and in honor of Daredevil Born Again being announced, what better time to make this video than now? Let's get it. And as always, this is gonna be a full breakdown on how I printed it, how I sanded it, how I painted it, and how I assembled it all together to make this iconic helmet. And without further ado, let's jump into Kira and see how I printed this out. Now I know Kira looks a little bit different, but before I talk about how I printed these pieces out and made it come together, I gotta talk about how I scaled this helmet and made it fit my head. First, this is a preset. I'm gonna link it down in the description. It's on Thingiverse. It's a free file. This creator made 4 preset heads that basically go with everybody's heads. It's a multitude of presets, and you can scale it up and down as you want. Basically, this is if you don't have a 3D scanner, you don't have a 3D model, anything like that to measure your head, but you need helmets to fit you. This guy made 4 different types of heads. You can see on the back, it tells you the perfect dimensions of the heads and everything that goes with the heads. And all you have to do is basically get an old hat that you have or a hat that you currently wear, see the measurements on that hat, and it goes right with it because it goes by hat size. Or you can get a string or measuring tape and just measure around your head, and that'll perfectly make whatever helmet you need fit your head. Also, I did have my brother do a scanning because he has a scanning app. What he did was he walked around me, got every dimensions of my head, everything. It looks crusty. Don't flame in the comments, please don't flame. But this is basically my head, and all I did was get this helmet and cowl and put it right here and threw it right on top of my head. And basically I just knew it was gonna fit because I already had my real life head as a reference point, and boom, it just fit just like that. I highly recommend you get this preset head, or you get any type of 3D scan, 3D model software. I'm gonna link it down in the description if I find out after this video where or what the app is called. And I think it's like $5.99 or something like that a month. But I highly recommend, if you want helmets to fit you, you get a 3D scanner. That is gonna help a ton. After playing with the 3D models and seeing what size works and fits for me, I finally put it on the bed and oriented it the way I needed it to be. Now, I put support blockers at the top here because every time you have red right here, it will generate supports, and it will always generate supports in spots where it's not needed. So you use support blockers to make sure you don't get supports and waste filament on spots where you don't need it. Now, for this model, I put it up here because as you can see, when I printed it out, all it was doing is going up back and forth, and it doesn't need any supports if it's going to go up on itself regardless, so you don't need supports at the top area. And at back here, it generated supports here because those are magnet holes. Generate supports here. Like I say, always print standing up. When you print standing up, you will save a lot of filament, and you will have more filament in areas where you need it compared to areas where you don't need it. So always print standing up, and as you can see here, just go straight up, go straight up. In this model, I had supports in the eyes. I had to put supports in the eyes with this model because there's a lot of overhangs, as you can see, and it's like eyebrow overhangs, and if you don't have supports there, your print will fail. So I needed to put supports in the eyes, and other than that, that was basically it. Make sure you print standing up, put support blockers at the top, because if I didn't have support blockers at the top, this print will take another day just off of supports, and I'll waste so much filament. It'll probably, this 200 grams would go up to 400 grams, which I don't need. So all in all, this was easy to orient, easy to do. Make sure you print it standing up, and it took a day and 4 hours, and that is it for the front piece. Now as for the back piece, I did the same thing, print it standing up. As you can see here, it's just gonna go straight up on itself. It did need supports on the side because as you see, there's an overhang and there's a lot of magnet holes, so it did need to branch out. That's why I say always use tree supports, because when you use tree supports, you can get those overhangs and it can spread out to where you can get those supports where you need it to be. If you use regular supports, it'll always go up and generate more than you actually need, but with tree supports, it's stronger and it branches out to different locations. So always use tree supports. It goes straight up on itself, and that was basically it. Not really a long time to take for this one. It took less time than the actual front of the cowl. I think this took about 15 to 20 hours rather than the full day and 4 hours that the other front of the cowl did. And that was basically it. As you can see here, print standing up. Seam lines in the back right here as well. Make sure you put the seam line in the front because it's inside the helmet. You won't be able to see the seam line, so put the seam line in the front and you're good. And last but not least, we got the lens frames. So this is not actually the eyes. These are the frames that go around the eyes. So for this, pretty easy. I printed them all. I only went with the ones as you see in the back. As you can see here, I only went with the ones in the back because I feel like the ones in the back have that more aggressive kind of look that I was looking for. and the ones in the front kind of got a more like passive look. So I went with these ones right here. I just printed them both just in case I could choose which one I wanted, test fits which one I wanted, choose the ones in the back. It didn't take long. I put the seam line in the back of all of them so you couldn't see it, and that was it. And they all printed up straight up together. Like I say, always print standing up, and that was basically it for all the printing and everything like that. So the next portion we got is sanding. How did I sand it down and make it smooth like a baby's behind? Let's get into it. So first things first, I highly recommend starting with the 120 grit. Sand, just rough sand as much as you possibly can. Get all those layer lines out, get all those edges out, and just keep sanding. Then I recommend going up to 150 grit, as you can see here. Sand. I highly recommend you guys get a power sander. I'll put that in the description down below, and I'll also put it up on the screen here. Get a power sander because that'll make sanding 10 times more easier. You could just chill, listen to music, and just flow all over your print and sand, and it'll get those details really sanded smooth. Then I recommend you go up to my goat all the time. I say it every single time, the 240 grit. This will just get everything you need. It'll get your touch-ups, it'll clean everything up, and just sand. And after that, stop. Once you stop, always make sure to wash your prints. Wash your prints. You don't want the dust, you don't want everything that you've been sanded with, you don't want the dirt, everything that's going to be all over your print. You want to wash that off and get it ready for the Bondo. Get you some Bondo glazing and spot putty. This stuff is amazing. It fills in those layer lines, it fills in your mess ups, it fills in everything. You put a lot of this on. I highly recommend you get a piece of foam, EVA foam, or something to evenly spread it across. I usually use foam. I'm probably gonna have some b-roll up of me doing this. Get some foam, get you anything you can like that, and just spread it evenly across. And once that's done, you're ready for the big dogs. Now the next step after that, back to the 240, back to the goat. Get in there, sand. Boom. From there, just keep going up from what they give you. I'll put a link in the description of where I got the sandpaper. I'll also throw it up on the screen here. Get you some high grit sandpaper. Next is 400, sand. Then 600, sand. Then 800 right here, sand. And eventually you'll get up to 1,000. Once you get up to 1,000, you can either you can stop. I highly recommend you wet sand. Get you some water, squirt it on there with like a little Clorox, whatever, just pour water, whatever gets you some water, get you 1,000 grit, wet sand. Sand it smooth, because that's what I did. I sanded it smooth. And once you're done with that full process of sanding everything down, then you'll get this outcome and how clean it looks. You see no layer lines, everything's covering it. Just look. The results speak for themselves. Get yourself into that rhythm of sanding, because once you get to sanding, once you get in that rhythm, you won't get tired of it and your prints will look 10 times better. So after you do all of that sanding, it's time to get into the painting. What paints did I use and what painting process did I use to get the color and everything that I did? First, you know how I do in my videos. Get yourself some 2-in-1 filler and sandable primer. You can fill everything in and you can sand it back down if you have any mess ups, if you have anything you want to change. You can fill it in, sand it back down. I highly recommend it. You can also get filler primer. I'll put it up right here, but I highly recommend getting yourself some 2-in-1 filler and sandable primer. They're both around the same price, so I highly recommend just getting it just so you have any mess ups, you can sand it back down, because with filler primer you cannot sand it. Now the first thing I did is I got a navy blue metallic paint. This is not the actual paint that I use, it's a similar can, but I'll put the actual paint that I use on the screen right here. I don't actually have the can with me, but I do have like something similar, so it's about the same thing. Then after that, I used white hand paint to get them little white colorway and to get that little white like trim with it, that little white trim that you see right here. I used that white hand paint, and then I topped that all off with the matte clear coat. This is the big game changer. I wanted a more solid kind of look with it instead of a more shiny look. Shout out to my brother, I put him on the screen right here, because he told me like go for a more solid look because it would look better in the end rather than having that whole like shine and like that gloss look. Get you some matte clear coat, because one, it protects your paint, so if you have any chips, anything going on, this will protect the paint, and two, it'll give you that solid look if that's what you're looking for. So I highly recommend getting clear coat regardless of if you're using gloss, because they do have gloss clear coat. I'll put it up on the screen. Regardless if you're using gloss, matte, whatever, get you some clear coat, because that'll really help. And that's basically it for the painting process. And with all that painting, this is how it came out. You can see how it's like a solid color. It's not too shiny. It's not really shiny at all. It's just that the light makes it a little shine, but you see how it has that matte, gritty, solid color, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Now last but not least, we got the assembly of it all. So first things first, I got the mesh eyes. I'm gonna link it down in the description down below of what eyes I actually used. I got white mesh eyes so I don't have to paint anything, I don't have to change anything, and these have perfect visibility. I can see everything when I have this helmet on, so I highly recommend you get some mesh eyes. The way I put it in is with Loctite. I cannot stress it enough. If you have anything 3D print, anything you need to glue in general, get you some Loctite. This is the best super glue I've ever used. It literally burns into any surface to make everything adhere together and glue together. This is the best glue. I put Loctite in there, and now this mesh is never coming out. No matter what I do, it is stuck in there forever. So I highly recommend you get some Loctite. Then I got these little square magnets, as you can see. The file is from Vec 3D. I'll put it down in the description. I'll put it on the screen. These magnets are like square magnets. I forgot the dimensions of it. I can put it up on the screen here. I still have a screenshot. These are square magnets, and what I basically did was glue the magnets in, and then I get the backside right here, flip it over, boom, 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 and all I have to do is just boom, magnetizes right together, and boom, it's in there. And that's basically it for the assembly. All I did was put the things on, I hand painted everything else, and then I got it mesh glued in, and that was it. That's all I had to do to make the helmet come together and make it come to life. So that's gonna do it for this video. In honor of Daredevil Born Again being announced, I feel like I just had to make this video, especially since I have this helmet and I have the Bullseye cosplay. I'll throw some pictures right here and right here. I had to make this video, man. I had to make it come to life, and I love how this helmet came out. It's comfortable, I can see everything, and it's definitely one of the more fun projects I've done, probably one of my best projects that I've done. I can't wait to do more just like it, and I thank you guys so much for all the support on the recent videos, man. Like I said before, I'm pumping out these videos. I bet y'all didn't believe in me, thinking I'm gonna get this video out. Come on, man, you gotta have some belief in your boy. But as always, I thank you guys for the support. I thank you guys for the motivation to keep making these videos and to keep motivating me to keep putting stuff out and to keep going. And I just can't thank y'all enough. I love y'all, man. And as always, DMB on top. Peace.